What is a mill? When someone asks you, what is a mill? What do you think of? Some folks might think of a grist mill used to grind corn, wheat, or barley. Others might think of a windmill on a wind farm, turning smoothly on the open prairie, producing electricity to light our homes, schools, and businesses. Still others might think of a cool mill like $1,000,000, greenbacks, dollars, cash. Who wouldn't like that, right? The chances are, if you're an elected official or work in government finance, when someone asks you what a mill is, you think of the mill that is short of millage, which is a unit of measure used when calculating the tax owed on property people own. 1 mill is equal to $1 per $1,000 of assessed value on a home or property. Put another way, a mill is 1/1000th of a dollar, and in property tax terms is equal to $1 of tax for each thousand of assessed value of the property. Therefore, 29 mills is equal to $29 for every thousand of assessed value, or 2.9%. Sound confusing? Well, it can be. Let's start from the beginning. The value of 1 mill is calculated by taking the total assessed value of all the taxable property in a taxing district and dividing it by 1,000. For example, if the total assessed valuation in your community is $215 million, we divide that number by 1,000 and the result is $215,000. Therefore, in your community, 1 mill generates $215,000 in tax revenue. Next then is the mill rate. The mill rate or mill levy for your property is determined by who or what is taxing you. This means that where you live, different mill rates are changed by different agencies, including the township, city, county, school boards, and the variety of services that districts operate. All of these are all combined to help calculate your final property tax bill. To calculate the mill rate, an operating budget is passed by the taxing authority. All known revenue sources of money are subtracted, leaving the remaining amount of money needing to be raised through property taxes. This amount is divided by the assessed value of all tax-paying or taxable property in that district. The answer you get is then multiplied by 1,000, and this represents the tax rate or the mill rate for every paying or taxable property in that district. Let's look at an example. Let's say that the local county government passes a budget and needs to levy $10,550,000 to operate. Also, let's say that all tax-paying or taxable property in this district, all taxable residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural property combined has assessed value of $510 million. To calculate the mill rate, you would take the funds needing to be levied and divide that by the total assessed value and multiply that by 1,000. Let's do the math. 10,550,000 divided by 510 million equals 0.020686. Then multiply that by 1,000 and you get 20.686 mills. Now let's use this information to calculate the amount of taxes that you would owe on your residential home. First, learning that different types of property are taxed on different percentages of their appraised value. This amount is the assessed value. Assessed value and appraised value are not the same. For example, residential homes are only assessed 11.5% of their appraised value. Commercial and industrial properties are assessed on 25%, and agricultural land is taxed on 30% of their production value. Tax-exempt properties are assessed at 0%. Also keep in mind that there are a whole host of exemptions and other factors that might influence one piece of property over another. Property tax calculation is not simple. Let's keep this example simple. Let's say that our home has an appraised value of $200,000. Remember that residential homeowners only pay taxes on 11.5% of their appraised value. We take the $200,000 and multiply it by 11.5% or 0.115, and you get $23,000. Therefore, our taxpayer is only going to pay taxes on $23,000 or 11.5% of the value of his $200,000 home. To determine how much our tax bill will be, we take the $23,000 assessed value and multiply it by the mill rate, which in our case is 20.686 mills, then divide that by 1,000. Let's do it. 23,000 times 20.686 equals $475,778, and divide that by 1,000, we get $475.78. So our tax bill would be $475.78. This amount would be collected and used to fund all the various services that our county provides. To look at that equation again, property tax levied on property equals mill rate times assessed taxable property value divided by 1,000. So why, as a taxpayer, is understanding this so important? Well, property tax is an ad valorem tax, which means it is based on value. The appraised value of the property is calculated using local real estate data, or what are called comps or comparables. By state law, all Kansas properties must be valued at a fair market value, and it is important to understand that as your property value goes up or down, it impacts your tax bill. If a property owner believes that his or her property has been appraised or classified incorrectly, he or she can request a reappraisal or reclassification of that property. However, because property taxes are based on total assessed valuation and approved budgets within the community, as property values go up and new construction is added to the community, the mill levy that a taxing district must charge can go down to collect about the same amount of money. Likewise, if the total assessed value of all the properties stagnates, declines, or too many properties are taken off the tax rolls through tax-exempt status or lowered valuations, the mill levy might go up to make up the lost revenue. If fewer people, organizations, or entities are left holding the tax burden for a community, taxes will go up to fund even the basic services in the community. And finally, know that as other sources of revenue that can be used to fund government are decreased, the need for property tax increases. Examples are limits on sales tax that can be charged or decreased, or loss of property tax that can be assessed on commercial machinery, or the fees that were once charged on mortgage registrations are no longer allowed. These decreases would mean that fewer dollars are coming in from these sources, which equates to more dollars needing to be collected through property taxes. Property taxes can be some of the most confusing and frustrating, yet most important taxes that we pay. In Kansas, property taxes are the number one way that local governments can raise the funds needed to provide a community with all the services necessary to be strong and healthy. By doing your part to understand how property taxes are assessed and collected helps you be a smarter and more informed citizen. And you can use this knowledge to make educated decisions about tax policy in your community and in our state.